This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Clean Cut Barbershop, located on 21 East Kelsey Avenue in Salt Lake City, Utah. To schedule an appointment, visit cleancutbarbershopslc.com. Walk-ins are also welcome. Mention Short Story Bingo and receive $5 off your first visit. Now, on to the show!
Ooh, that's a bingo!
Is that the way you say it? That's a bingo.
You just said bingo. Bingo! How fun!
Yeah. Episode 35. We're back in the building, back in the place to be. My name is Nate Chacombe III. If this is your first time, welcome. If this is your second time, the retention program is working. Welcome back to Short Story Bingo. Again, episode 35. Episode 34 is in the books. The Mummy's Curse. That was, as I was reading it, like I was saying in the description I wrote, I felt like it was I felt like it was reading The Mummy, like the Brendan Fraser movie or whatever. So I got a kick out of it, and I definitely snopes the shit out of that whole thing because I knew that you guys were gonna do it before me, and I'm fucking fact check McGee. Jesus. Anyhow, so this week we are going to read out of the complete tales and poems of Edgar Allen Poe. I could read out of this book probably literally every week because there's so much in here. The last Edgar Allen Poe story I read was all the way back on episode 2, so go back all the way there. It was a Shadow, a parable. It was pretty good. They're all pretty good. I mean, some of them are kind of confusing, but we're going to read it classic, The Tale Heart. It's a good one. It's about a guy that murders a guy, and then, well, we'll just listen. And it's one of those where the guilty conscience gets the best of this dude. Anyhow, the top 3 countries, let's go through them. The UK, Russia, and Canada are rounding out the top beyond the United States. And then beyond Utah, the top 3 downloaded states that are listening to the podcast are California. Tied for second is Maryland and Virginia, and then coming in third is Texas. And then I wanted to say that I was looking already at May, and I just thought it was funny that Mexico was already on the top 3. Happy Cinco de Mayo yesterday. Hope you guys were safe, sound, and if you got something crazy that happened, I hope you have a good lawyer. Anyhow, so let's move on to the random Twitter follower shout out. And I really don't know these cats, so this is super random. It's at HungOv1, and that's HUNG, like hungover, but HUNGOV, and then the number 1. They're based out of Salt Lake. I just checked their description and was going through some of their tweets, and they seem pretty funny. I mean, I'm following them back, so there's that. Anyhow, let's get into a little bit more of what this story is going to kind of be about, as far as like what I took from it. I think it's more so a tale that will, like I was saying earlier, definitely like speaks to like the guilty conscience of people as after they think that they're doing something in the right. And we'll obviously we'll dive into it afterwards, but I'm pretty excited to read this one. I haven't read it in a while, so just like everything, I want to read The Raven out of this. I know it's going to be a long one, but I want to read The Raven too by Edgar Allan Poe, just to get that one out, at least for myself, if nothing else. Also, what was else I was going to say? Oh yeah, big shout out to our sponsor at Clean Cut Barbershop. Just mentioned the podcast, Short Story Bingo. You get $5 off your first service. They are on 21 East Kelsey Avenue in Salt Lake City, Utah. Special shout out to them. And then also, I got an announcement next Friday to make about being on a radio program out here, KRCL 90.9, the Friday Night Fallout Show. Keith McDonald and myself. I think we're going to be starting next Friday, which is what, 7, 8, 9, 10, like the 11th, May 11th. Ooh, 90.9 FM. But episode 35, Short Story Bingo, and there is the intro music.
Short story bingo. Short story bingo. Short story bingo. Short story bingo. Sometimes they're funny and sometimes they're sad. Most of the time they're funny because I hate to be sad. Short story bingo. Short story bingo. Short story bingo. Short story bingo. But don't take my word for it. Spare fingers.
True. Nervous. Very, very dreadfully nervous. I had been and am. But why will you say that I'm mad? The disease had sharpened my senses, not destroyed, not dulled them. Above all was the sense of hearing acute. I heard all things in the heaven and in the earth. I heard many things in hell. Damn, dog. Fucking super hearing aid. How then am I mad? Hearken! I just love reading that word. Hearken! How then am I mad? Hearken! And observe how healthily, how calmly I can tell you the whole story. It is impossible to say how first the idea entered my brain, but once conceived, it haunted me day and night. Object there was none. Passion there was none. I loved the old man. He had never wronged me. He had never given me insult. For his gold I had no desire. I think it was his eye. Yeah, it was this. He had the eye of a vulture. A pale blue eye with a film over it. That's glaucoma, man. Or glaucoma or glaucoma, whatever the fuck. Glaucoma. That one. Like, take it easy on his eye. You know what I'm saying? And especially if you loved him, this is definitely like the beginning of a serial. Like, the scene is like the guy at the steel table in a lonely interrogation room, and he's like, yeah, I didn't think I was going to do it. It haunted me. It reminds me of that movie with John Cusack in it, and he's at the hotel and he's taking care of all those people. What the hell is that movie called? And it's actually what it is the killer is already in prison and he's about to be executed. Do you guys know? I think you guys know what I'm talking about. I gotta look it up really quick. Hotel. But this is exactly what it reminds me of. Like, the guy's just like telling his story, and Identity. That's it. Identity. Yeah. It's a really good movie. Like, if you haven't seen it in a while or have not at all, then it's a really good movie. Anyway, okay. I love the old man. He had never wronged me. He had never given me insult. For his gold I had no desire. I think it was his eye. Yes, it was this. He had the eye of a vulture. A pale blue eye with a film over it. Whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold. And so by degrees, very gradually, I made up my mind to take the life of the old man and thus rid myself of the eye forever. Jesus, man. If you can hear the birds in the background, I'm sorry. Or if you like the sound of birds, then you're welcome. Now, this is the point. You fancy me mad. Madmen know nothing. But you should have seen me. You should have seen how wisely I proceeded, with what caution, with what foresight, with what dissimulation I went to work. So he's like, yo, man, I'm not crazy. I knew what I was doing, and I did it well. You're going to find out how I did it. I was never kinder to the old man. Oh, kinder, Jesus. I was never kinder. Come on, bro. I was never kinder to the old man than during the whole week before I killed him. Ooh, boy. Someone's acting real nice to you. You better check that shit at the door if they haven't ever been nice to you. Something's happening. Something's coming up. They're prepping you. Ooh, I think we've all probably experienced something like that and been like, man, they were super nice like the whole week before, and then just dropped a bombshell on me thinking that I'm just supposed to accept it because they've been super nice to me. I was never kinder I was never kinder to the old man than during the whole week before I killed him. And every night, about midnight, I turned the latch of his door and opened it. oh so gently. And then when I had made an opening sufficient for my head, I put in a dark lantern, all closed so that no light shone out, and then I thrust in my head. Oh, you would have laughed to see how cunningly I thrust in. I moved it slowly, very, very slowly, so that I might not disturb the old man's sleep. It took me an hour to place my whole head within the opening so far that I could see him as he lay upon his bed. Would a madman have been so wise at this? And then, when my head was well in the room, I undid the lantern cautiously. Oh, so cautiously. Cautiously, for the hinges cracked. I undid it just so much that a single thin ray fell upon the vulture eye. It's not a vulture's eye, man. It's a regular eye, okay? And this I did for 7 long nights. That's dedication, if I must say. You know, that's definitely having a plan, putting next action steps together, and absolutely doing your best to accomplish that. I did this for 7 long nights. This action of just sneaking into this guy's room and like shedding the light upon the eye. First off, does he leave his eye open? So, I mean, that should tell you that he's got an issue if he's leaving his eye open and you're putting a light into it and he's not waking up. Sir, how about be a friend if you love this guy and recommend him to his local, Instacare or whatever was going on at that time. And this I did for 7 long nights. Every night, just at midnight. Okay, here we go. Sorry. But I found the eye always closed. Okay, all right. And so it was impossible to do the work. For it was not the old man who vexed me, but his evil eye. And every morning when the day broke, I went boldly into the chamber and spoke courageously to him, calling him by name in a hearty tone and inquiring how he had passed the night. So you see, he would just have been a very profound old man, indeed, to suspect that every night just at 12 I looked in upon him while he slept. Just like buttering him up. Like, oh, how'd you sleep, man? Was it good? Yeah, okay. Upon the 8th night, I was more than usually cautious in opening the door. So he's gone a week. So this is the 8th night. Upon the 8th night, I was more than usually cautious in opening the door. A watch's minute hand moves more quickly than did mine. Never before that night had I felt the extent of my own powers. Opening the door little by little, and he not even to dream of my secret deeds or thoughts. I fairly chuckled at the idea, and perhaps he heard me, for he moved on the bed suddenly, as if startled. Now you may think that I drew back, but no. His room is as black as pitch with the thick darkness, for the shutters were close fastened through fear of robbers. Okay, so nobody's going to see. Good. And so I knew that he could not see the opening of the door, and I kept pushing it on steadily. I had my head in and was about to open the lantern. When my thumb slipped upon the tin fastening, and the old man sprang up in the bed crying out, "Who's there?" "Fucking me, man. Sorry, that's my fault. I'll just go back to my room. Maybe we'll try this on the 9th night." That's where if he did that, then the story doesn't even. That's my fault. I kept quiet still and said nothing. For a whole hour, I did not move a muscle, and in the meantime, I did not hear him lie down. He was still sitting up in the bed listening. Ooh. 'Cause he's blind. Why didn't he just get up? I guess that's a little creepy to just get up after you hear someone like might be there and they're not answering. I get that. Just as I have done night after night, Okay. I kept quiet. I kept quite still and said nothing. For a whole hour I did not move a muscle, and in the meantime I did not hear him lie down. He was still sitting up in the bed listening, just as I have done night after night, hearkening to the death watches in the wall. Presently I heard a slight groan, and I knew it was the groan of mortal terror. It was not a groan of pain or of grief. Oh no. It was the low, stifled sound that arises from the bottom of the soul when overcharged with awe. I knew the sound well. Many a night, just at midnight, when all the world slept. When all the world slept. Okay. Many a night, just at midnight, when all the world slept, it has welled up from my own bosom, deepening with its dreadful echo the terrors that distracted me. I say I knew it well. I knew what the old man felt and pitied him, although I chuckled at heart, 'cause you're a dick. I knew that he had been lying awake ever since the first slight noise. When he had turned in the bed, his fears had been ever since growing upon him. He had been trying to fancy them causeless. Oh, that can't be anything. Oh, fuck. But could not. He had been saying to himself, it is nothing but the wind in the chimney. It is only a mouse crossing the floor. Or it is merely a cricket which has made a single chirp. Just convincing himself. And I think, we all do that. Yes, he has been trying to comfort himself with these suppositions. Did I say that right? Suppositions, yeah. Yes, he has been trying to comfort himself with these suppositions. But he had found all in vain, because death, in approaching him, had stalked with his black shadow before him and enveloped the victim. And it was the mournful influence of the unperceived shadow that caused him to feel, although he neither saw nor heard, to feel the presence of my head within the room. Dude knew what was going to come happen, so that's creepy to me. When I had waited a long time, very patiently, without hearing him lie down, I resolved to open a very, very little crevice in the lantern. So I opened it. You cannot imagine how stealthily, until at length a single dim ray, like the thread of the spider, shot from out the crevice and fell full upon the vulture eye. It was open, wide open. And I grew furious as I gazed upon it. I saw it with perfect distinctness, all a dull blue, with a hideous veil over it that chilled the very marrow in my skin, in my bones. But I could see nothing else of the old man's face or person, for I had directed the ray as if by instinct precisely upon the damned spot. And now, have I not told you that what you mistake for madness is but over acuteness of the senses? Now, I say there came to my ears a low, dull, quick sound, such as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I knew that sound well, too. It was the beating of the old man's heart. It increased my fury, as the beating of a drum stimulates a soldier into courage. That's it. I thought it was I'm just going to say what I thought. I thought I remembered it. Obviously, it's not correct, but I thought he killed him. I thought he kills the guy, and then he just continues to hear the heart. So he's still alive, and he's hearing the heart now. Okay, good. This is good. All right. And now, have I not told you that what you mistake for madness is but over acuteness of the senses? Now, I say there came to my ears a low, dull, quick sound, such as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. Such a good description. Just you can barely hear it, but it's distinct enough. I knew that sound well too. It was the beating of the old man's heart. It increased my fury as the beating of a drum stimulates the soldier into courage. Damn, this guy's heart and his eye is pissing you off? But even yet, I refrained and kept still. I scarcely breathed. Well, you should fucking absolutely breathe, man. Take it easy. I held the lantern motionless. I tried how steadily I could maintain the ray upon the eye. Meantime, the hellish tattoo of the heart increased. It grew quicker and quicker, and louder every instant. The old man's terror must have been extreme. It grew louder. I say louder every moment. Do you mark me well? I have told you that I'm nervous. So I am. And now at the dead hour of the night, amid the dreadful silence of that old house, so strange a noise as this excited me to uncontrollable terror. Yet, for some minutes longer, I refrained and stood still. But the beating grew louder. I thought the heart must burst. And now a new anxiety seized me. The sound would be heard by a neighbor. The old man's hour had come. So he's like, okay, so he's, and now a new anxiety seized me. The sound would be heard by a neighbor. So he's like, oh shit, I got to do this now, because otherwise someone's going to hear this. The old man's hour had come. With a loud yell, I threw open the lantern and leaped into the room, just like Mel Gibson Braveheart stat. It's just like, ah! He shrieked once only. In an instant, I dragged him to the floor and pulled the heavy bed over him. I then smiled gaily to find the deed so far done. Damn! But for many minutes, the heart beat on with a muffled sound. This, however, did not vex me. It would not be heard through the wall. Ooh, it's gonna come through the wall. At length, it ceased. The old man was dead. I removed the bed and examined the corpse. Yes, he was stone dead. I placed my hand upon the heart and held it there many minutes. There was no pulsation. He was stone dead. His eye would trouble me no more. If you take that fucking eye out and throw it out, if still you think me mad, you will think so no longer when I describe the wise precautions I took for the concealment of the body. Okay? All right. The night waned, and I worked hastily, but in silence. First of all, I dismembered the corpse. I cut off the head and the arms and the legs. Seems pretty natural. I've read definitely about the Bloody Benders even dismembered the shit out of their people. So you're doing what you can to make sure to cover your tracks. Okay, man. All right. Also, you're crazy, and I don't know why you think that you're not a madman. You're super fucking crazy. I then first of all, I dismembered the corpse. I cut off the head and the arms and the legs. I then took up 3 planks from the flooring of the chamber and deposited all between the scantlings. You know that those are going to go, bad, right? They're going to start rotting and smell. The Cleveland Strangler. Have you guys heard about this guy, the Cleveland Strangler? Read about him if you haven't already. But he had a huge house out in Cleveland, and he had so many bodies in there. His house was next to a butcher shop, and the neighbors in the neighborhood thought that the butcher shop was just had bad meat in it, so they were like, man, I think they tore down the fucking butcher shop because of it. The butcher shop went out of business because of this dude, Anthony Sowell, that's what his name is, and Sowell. But again, the Cleveland Stringer. Anyway, yeah, man, you gotta. Also, who buried all those bodies under the John Wayne Gacy? Is that who it was? Yeah, that buried all the bodies underneath his house or something like that. But he put a ton of lime on them, and his wife found out because she smelled. It smelled like fucking shit. It smelled like it smelled like a rotting corpse was in there. Yeah. So I'm a little. Let's see how this goes. I then took up 3 planks from the flooring of the chamber and deposited all between the scantlings. I then replaced the board so cleverly, so cunningly, that no human eye, not even his, because he's dead, could have detected anything wrong. There was nothing to wash out, no stain of any kind, no blood spot, whatever. I had been too wary for that. A tub had caught all. He said, it really says, ha ha. A tub had caught all. Ha ha. When I made an end of these labors, it was 4 o'clock. Still dark as midnight. As the bell sounded the hour, there came a knocking at the street door. Here we go. I went down to open it with a light heart. For what had I now to fear? Oh, shit. There entered 3 men who introduced themselves with perfect suavity as officers of the police. A shriek had been heard by a neighbor during the night. Suspicion of foul play had been aroused. Oh, you're in trouble, sir. Information had been lodged at the police office, and they, the officers, had been asked to search the premises. I smiled, because you're a psycho. I love, like, at the beginning, like, he's trying to describe himself as not a madman, but, like, he's for sure a psycho. I smiled, for what had I had to fear? I bade the gentleman welcome. The shriek, I said, was my own in a dream. The old man I mentioned was absent in the country. I took my visitors all over the house. I bade them search well. Search. I led them at length to his chamber. I showed them his treasures, secure, undisturbed. In the enthusiasm of my confidence, I brought chairs into the room and desired them here to rest from their fatigues, while I myself, in the wild audacity of my perfect triumph, placed my own seat upon the very spot beneath which reposed the corpse of the victim. Just way too confident, dude. Like, way too confident. Oh, no, take a seat, man. Yeah, no, it's, yeah. No, I got cable. Yeah, we got Showtime. I think we're working on getting stars. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't have coffee because it's 4:30 in the morning, but I can certainly whip some up. I got a French press. Just got it on Amazon. Surprisingly, yeah, it was only $20. You got the same one? You know what? Let me get my chair. I'm going to come sit right here in this very specific spot. No, I know I'm super far away from you guys, but I really want to sit right here. The officers were satisfied. My manner had convinced them. I was singularly. Yeah, Jesus, come on, man, you got it. I was singularly. Oh, you got it. Come on. My manner had. The officers were satisfied. My manner had convinced them. I was singularly at ease. They sat, and while I answered cheerily, they chatted of familiar things. That's what I'm saying. Look, these guys are just shooting the shit. Yeah, man. When I started this job as a police officer, I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. So last week, okay, no, and you know her, Betty. So she calls me. She says, "Hey, there's a squaw in my fireplace." I don't deal with squaw. Pigeon. Sorry, I know that you're confused over there, Ralph. They're just going over shit. They sat, and while I answered cheerily, they chatted of familiar things. But ere long, I felt myself getting pale and wished them gone. My head ached, and I fancied a ringing in my ears. But still they sat and still chatted. The ringing became more distinct. It continued and became more distinct. I talked more freely to get rid of the feeling, but it continued and gained definitiveness, until at length I found that the noise was not within my ears. No doubt I now grew very pale, but I talked more fluently and with a heightened voice, yet the sound increased. Ooh, God, that's like a pretty good scene of like guys like, "Hey man, you all right?" I mean, no, it's fine. You don't have coffee, but you seem, I don't know, you just went like from regular flesh looking to passing the toilet paper test. And so I don't know what's going on with you over there, buddy. Yet the sound increased, and what can I do? It was a low, dull, quick sound, much such a sound as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I gasped for breath, and yet the officer heard it not. I talked more quickly, more vehemently, but the noise steadily increased. I arose and argued about trifles in a high key with violent gesticulations, but the noise steadily increased. Why would they not be gone? I paced the floor to and fro with heavy strides, as if excited to fury by the observation of the men, but the noise steadily increased. Oh God, what could I do? I foamed. I raved. I swore. I swung the chair upon which I had been sitting and grated it upon the boards, but the noise arose over all and continually increased. The cops were like, whoa, man, whoa, hey, it's okay, man. I don't know what's going on. If it makes you feel uncomfortable that I am talking about some things that, you know, some sexual positions that I've been trying out, you just let us know, man. I just know that this is, you know, locker room talk. God, my name's Roland Trump. Just leave me alone. And he's fucking freaking out. He foamed. He says, I foamed. I raved. I swore. I swung the chair upon which I had been sitting and grated it upon the boards, but the noise arose over all and continually increased. It grew louder, 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 and still the men chatted pleasantly and smiled. Was it possible they heard not? Almighty God, no, they heard. They suspected. They knew. Because you're freaking out, man. That's why they suspected maybe anything, because you're fucking weird. They were making a mockery of my horror. This I thought, and this I think, but anything was better than this agony. Anything was more tolerable than this derision. I could hear those hypocritical smiles no longer. I felt that I must scream or die, and now again, hark, louder, louder, louder. Villains, I shrieked. Dissemble no more. I admit the deed. Tear up the planks. Here, it is the beating of his hideous heart. Just gave himself. That's it. So episode 35. Sorry, I didn't mean to just end it like that. But yeah, Telltale Heart, episode 35, Edgar Allan Poe. So he just, at the end, just is like, so, okay, I think I did the Simpsons do this, or they only did the Raven? I think they did the Telltale Heart also. But I remember how, well, just reading this, you can put the scene into your head, how like deafening that sound would be, and that they're still just talking, and so you're just going crazy. And then hopefully to stop the madness, to reveal what you've done. And in that madness, thinking that they're all looking like you're high or something in public or something, you know? Then you're like, oh my God, everyone's for sure looking at me right now. Well, no one is, because everyone's looking at you all the time. It doesn't matter if you go to a gas station or whatever, you know, people like look at you, even if you're clearly not under the influence of anything. You're just like, you know, you just look at people. And so for him to commit, like this, so he killed the dude, killed the old man who he loved. That was at the beginning. And then a neighbor heard something. He thought that you know, no one would hear a thing, but because, you know, things were closed or what have you, a neighbor heard something, called the police, said, hey, go check this out. After he eloquently put everything away, and by everything I mean his body parts, the confidence was clear, and he just led them around the house. It was like, yeah, man, just take a seat, whatever. You can just hang out. It's not weird that it's 4:00 in the morning and you're just hanging out at my house. I'm going to go to sleep. I got work tomorrow or something. Like, I don't know why people do that too. Like with like the fires or something, right? Like if somebody sets a fire to something, like they end up coming back to the scene to come take a look at it. I haven't done that before, so I don't know what if, you know, if I would. Maybe that would be a thing, I guess, right? As far as like the curiosity. Way too into himself, man. It's a good story. The Telltale Heart, Edgar Allan Poe, episode 35. Let me know what you think. Go ahead and email me, shortstorybingo@gmail.com, or check us out, or add the Instagram. Please add the Instagram as well, at Short Story Bingo. Of course, subscribe, share with your mates, and let them know exactly what we're doing over here. And please comment. That certainly helps a lot, and I absolutely read them. So thank you guys again. Episode 36 coming up next week. And as I mentioned, I'm going to be with Keith McDonald out here in Salt Lake City, Utah. There is also an app for for KRCL. You can also go on to krcl.org. We are going to be starting, I believe, next Friday. We're going to be beginning our hosting on May 11th. It might be the 18th, but you'll know. Just plan on the 11th to hear this same sultry voice at 10:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time to 1 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Again, you can get the app KRCL. Just search that. It's 90.9 FM. So, and one more time, big shout out to our sponsor at Clean Cut Barbershop. Go ahead and search them on Facebook. Their link is also in the description. Mention Short Story Bingo and receive $5 off your first service, whether that be a cut, whether it be a haircut and a shave, whether that be just a shave. Just mention the podcast, and my boy Jody or Tony or John will hook you up with $5 off your first service. Thank you guys again. I really appreciate all the love that's been shown. We're at about 318 hits per day. Just checked out the analytics this morning, so that's really exciting. Again, the random Twitter follower shout out at HungOv1, and the last time we read out of Edgar Allan Poe was episode 2, so check that one out too. Anyhow, Short Story Bingo episode 34. Yeah, what is it? 34. Shit, I'm fucking it up. It is 34. No, it's not, is it? God damn it. Let's take a look. Yeah, 35. No, this is 35. Shit. Episode 35. Telltale Heart, Short Story Bingo, Edgar Allan Poe. Thank you guys again. Nate Chacon the third, and I'm out. Whoa.
Dun dun dun. Spare fingers. Cheers.